Minnesota's DFL announcing today that a bipartisan group of state senators is pushing forward a new package of proposed legislation to address fraud in the state. DFL Senator Nick Frentz of North Mankato says among the highlights of the bill is a proposal from last year that sought to establish an independent Office of Inspector General to investigate fraud, waste, and abuse of state funds. Other legislation would seek to modernize old human services infrastructure at county departments and strengthen penalties for people convicted of fraud caught misusing state funds.
People are asking us to take simple measures to combat fraud, to take responsibility for mistakes that have been made, to hold people accountable, and to provide a framework to prevent it from happening in the future.
Senator Frentz says that while some bills in the package have already passed the Senate, there's still a long way to go before any of the legislation becomes a reality.